Welcome to the podcast, Growing Older with Gusto, a podcast dedicated to the art of growing older in a positive and productive way. I'm Gail Zergerman, your host. How many of us have reached the point in our lives when we want to retire but seem to be stuck with where to go and what to do if we do retire from work, whether it's being part of the professional work world or being a full-time mom? Today, our guest, Russell Anderson, will talk about how he transformed himself from a full-time financial planner creating wealth strategies for over 40 years in Southern Florida to where he is today. His transformation was both personal and professional, and he's very excited to share with us how he got unstuck. Welcome to the show, Russell.
Thank you, Gail.
Could you start out by telling our listeners what sparked your transformation, both professionally and personally, that we talked about in a conversation earlier?
Well, believe it or not, I was pulling out of a parking spot to go onto the onto the highway, and I had to pull out perpendicularly, and I turned my head to look for oncoming traffic, and I could not turn my head. My neck and my head I couldn't turn. So all of a sudden I started thinking, oh my gosh, now I'm old, I'm getting, I can't move. That, believe it or not, is what sparked a momentous revolution in my life. And
So, Russell, not to interrupt, but I will. So is that called like making lemonade out of a lemon? What we used to say?
I did. It was so tasteful too. But yes, to be honest with you, about 2 weeks later, I was going out of that same spot, and I heard in my mind, instead of going out perpendicular, just go out straight. I went out straight, and I was able to look to the left and see as far as I could see. And what that told me was, Gail, that change is good. And I was aware enough to catch it that, you can hold on to the past. You can hold on to the things that you used to do all the time, the way you did it. Mm-hmm. Or you can choose to change. And that's what I did.
That's terrific. I know change is often hard for many of us, but it's often good, as you said. So I have another question regarding your transformation. How do you handle the fear that sometimes accompanies people that are facing professional and personal changes in their lives? How did you deal with that?
Well, I got to a point after I have a very, very, very demanding fourth quarter. After it was over with, I worked from like 7 to 7, starting in September to December. And I just thought, you know what? Maybe I ought to just retire. And I will tell you, the responses that I got in my mind were, I'm over. I'm done. My life is over. There's nothing else to do. And then I started thinking, well, what is it going to take to change? And then all of a sudden, like maybe a lot of us, all the new technologies that are out there, all the new regulations in my industry, all the ways of marketing are changed. And I became fearful. And yet what I did was I told myself that what I need will come to me when I figure out what I want. And I opened myself up to change. And that, I think, is the main thing that happened, because things started coming into my life like you couldn't believe. And it changed my personal life. It changed my social life. It changed my business life dramatically. And, but I think what it was to realize, yes, these things can cause fear, but I have a choice. Do I get stuck in fear? And as I put on my thing, it just ride off into the sunset and disappear somewhere? Or do I say, no, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to be open to things and change. Maybe I have to learn stuff, which I have, but all in all, I think it was the choice. The choice. I wanted to move forward.
And what are some of the physical changes you talked to me about? Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Well, that's kind of the thing you see all over the internet, kind of, chair yoga or whatever. But what I did, the first thing was because what started happening was I was having a hard time bending down and touching the ground, to be honest with you. And so I started to do at the stretch zone. I
Mhm.
don't know if you know the stretch zone, but you go
I've
in
heard about it.
there,
Yes, I've heard
yeah,
it.
it's an hour of stretching, and they stretch you out, and so that was for my stretch and my whatnot, and then for my the pressure that I had from my workaday world, I said I'm going to start taking care of myself. So I started to do massage therapy, and um,
Any specific type of massage therapy?
deep tissue massage.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I started doing that. And luckily, I had like a million points on my Visa card. And lo and behold, the spa that I'd like to go to was on there. So I would go in and get it all for free. So
Wow.
it's even better.
That's
And
great.
then I'll tell you something really funny. I said, I looked on my gift card thing that I could buy for my points, and they said Pilates.
Mhm.
So I thought, Gail, what I thought was Pilates was you go in, you lay on a machine, and then it exercises you.
No, no, I love Pilates. I'm a big supporter of it. I do it myself.
Yes.
Great.
So when I got there and found out how really rigorous it was, again, I had a choice. Am I going to just give up because it's too much, or am I going to move forward? I chose to move forward, so I go to Pilates twice a week.
Good for you. I do too. I love it.
Yep,
Really is a great thing to do for yourself.
right. And then I incorporated some other things that I found, like doing. I do a workout in the morning with a guy on my phone, and
Wow.
fit on. And so it's a 10-minute warm up. And so, in other words, I need to move. And that's what I got from
Good for
from
you.
that. Mhm.
And tell our listeners a little bit. You mentioned your spiritual changes. I thought
Mm.
we'd touch on that a little bit.
Yes. I was I was in my office, and I was looking on this program that was like LinkedIn, but it was a local one here in around here, and I got something from somebody that said, "Hi, I'm a business coach, and I would like to meet you and have a free 30-minute discussion." And first thing I said was, "Here." I've been in business 40 years. What are they going to teach me? But I said, you know what? I'm open. I'm open. I want to see what this is a bit about. Well, so we had our 30-minute session, and we just connected so well. And I say that because Bridget Home, she has, she pulled out of me a book, a book. And
Wait. Stop a second. So you had this connection with Bridget. Is that her name?
yes,
Okay.
uh-huh,
A business coach. Okay. And then,
yes,
okay, so you met with her for a half hour and
yep.
kind of connected, but then take me one step forward. So then after that initial connection, what happened? Did the book come
Well,
from that
what
meeting or?
no, what happened was I said, Bridget, listen, I don't know. I don't need to know how to sell. I don't need to know how to network. I don't need how to know how to close sales. I don't need any of that. What I need is I need you to help me to organize my flow, my business flow. So we started on that, and she gave me some things to do and whatnot. But after about the third set, she says, Russell, is there anything else that you have on your mind that, that you'd like to do? And I said, boom, yes, I would love to write a book. And
Is this going to be like nonfiction or based on your business life or just a novel that was in your inner self wanting to come out? Or what was it, Russell?
And no, it's not fiction, and it doesn't have anything to do with my business. It's more with how can we stand firm? And by stand firm, I mean with a positive, um, um, loving attitude in the midst of all this stuff that's going on all around us,
Right. Not
and
easy, is it?
that is what the book is about, and how to remain positive, how it's just been phenomenal.
So,
Because she,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Well,
No,
so she sparked this interest and sort of brought it to the forefront, something that you've been thinking about, I assume, for a while.
yes,
And
yeah.
so tell our listeners, what was your process? Like what happened after this meeting with Brenda?
Well, well, there was a famous speaker that got killed about 6 or 8 months ago
Mhm.
on the college campuses, and it just sparked something in me that I need to get this message out to the world. How that in the midst of horrible things that we're seeing, we can
Every day,
every
Russell.
or every moment sometimes
Right.
even. How do we stay positive? How do we continue to reach out and help one another? And that's kind of what the book's about. Yeah.
So is it done? Have you finished it?
It's done all the way to the point where it went to the editor and they gave me some suggestions that I need to do. And I got the suggestions back and I'm fixing it all up now.
That's
Yeah,
great. That's exciting. That's
it
exciting.
is.
So let's switch topics a little bit. What in your lifetime so far have been the biggest changes in society as you know it?
Explain that. What?
In other words, are there any changes, societal changes, since you were little, um, throughout your lifetime so far that have really made an impression on you?
Well, I think well, I was born in Florida, in West Palm Beach. I
Okay.
grew up around the water. Um, and everything seemed to be, of course, when you're not having to support yourself, it's a lot easier.
Right.
But growing up as a kid, it was great. And I guess one thing that I'm really, really tuning into, and it's lately, is how people are becoming less knowledgeable on how to communicate with one another, especially the younger people. I
So
mean,
is that because they're always on the social media and it's not one-on-one in person
yeah. Let me
communication
ask you something, Gail. How many times have you gone out to a restaurant and seen some young people, and all they're doing is they're both staring at their phone?
all the time, everywhere?
I know. So, I have a habit. When I'm going out on an appointment or meeting with somebody for lunch, I don't even bring my phone in, you know.
That's great.
Yeah, of course,
Can't
if
get
they're
it.
on it, then, but so yeah, that's one of the biggest changes I'm seeing. And really there's studies, all kind of studies on it, how people just aren't connecting. And so hopefully part of my book will answer that.
Wait, so how long is your book, do you think will be? Will it be like 300 pages
Oh
or?
no, it's about 152 pages.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned earlier when we were chatting, you might want to touch on the topic of God, and we have a little time here. Would you like to talk about your beliefs
Yeah. I'll talk
and
about
how
it.
that has affected you?
Yes. How it's really affected me was that I have come to believe that God is very desirous to have relationships with us. and I'll do it personally to myself, that he is like a father and a good father who wants the best things for
Wait
me.
a minute, Russell. How do we know God is not a woman?
Well, I don't think God is male or female.
Right. Okay.
I think how he communicates to us is only in our so we can understand. I don't,
I'm giving
you
you
know,
mine. Okay.
I know, but that's what I mean. I think he communicates so we can understand. But yeah, knowing that he is for me and not against me, that he loves me, that he cares for me, that anything that comes in my life goes through his hand and he's there with me, gives me such a confidence to step out in faith and do the things that I'm doing. I never thought I could sit here with you and I and do something like this. And yet it opened up.
Well, things
And it's wonderful.
that's good. I'm glad that everything was aligned with us.
Yeah.
We're introduced.
And, and then there's things you learn about it. You learn about yourself. I was feeling about 2 weeks ago really uneasy and fearful. And so my coach said, let's go through this exercise where we pick, why are you feeling this way? And then 5 things that you're feeling. And then we chose one of them. Why this? Why that? Well, you know what it came out to be at the end? I feel like I don't deserve all this goodness coming to me.
Hmm.
And so it was just another opportunity for me to say, am I going to stay in this thought pattern of unworthiness and etc., or am I going to reframe it? And that's what I did.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, it's exciting. And I'll tell you, I went from being like my life is over, back then we just shared that, to where I'm so excited about life and people and it's just unbelievable.
That's great. It's a great story. So I have one last question. If you were to tell our listeners your secret sauce for leading a good life, what would you say to them?
I think the secret sauce is for me that I once I started getting a real sense of self, of who I am as a person, um, and accepting that and being the best possible person that I could be, and including other people in my life instead of this success-oriented,
Okay.
driven person
Right.
that
I
I
was going to
was.
ask you, was retiring or changing your professional life, is that lack of identity from who you were as a strategist for people and their financial wherewithal? Was that, when you changed and you decided to change your professional career, was that the big impact on your personal identity?
Well, the big impact that it had on me was that I felt like, well, doing this book and doing this stuff is part of who I am and what I'm doing. And then my coach said, listen, why don't you just look at the people that you encounter every day as someone that you're there to help? And it just opened up a whole new world because I didn't leave my job. I didn't leave my financial job. But what I did was I'm focusing it more into I've got 40 years of experience. I've I've honed into a segment of people that are within let's just say their assets of 100,000 to 2 million. All the big money managers, the firms, everybody, they don't want to talk to them. They don't, they're 5 million and above. So you have this whole source of people there that really have no one to help them. And I'm going to be that person.
So that's your niche that you found.
That that's my niche because what happened, Gail, is in this transformation, it became more important to me to do things that were meaningful instead of financial.
Interesting. Interesting.
And so helping someone, I had a client die and his wife had to go into an assisted living. And the daughter came to me and said, I don't know what to do. What's going on? So we've met about 4 or 5 times and put it into perspective. If we had more time, I'll tell you about the 3 or 4 deaths in my own family I had within the year period and how I had to cope with that.
You know what?
But
That happens. I was talking to somebody recently that things for some reason always go in threes. I've had it in my own life with loss. It just all
yes,
come in clumps. I don't know why the number three and you're a finance person. Maybe you can tell me, but it's always in threes and it's never easy.
my brother, my sister-in-law, and my father,
Yeah.
there's the three.
Yeah. Never easy. Well, that's
Now,
for another conversation.
yes, but
But
anyway, back to the thing. I am getting so much meaning by helping her. And it just, that's what I want. That's what I want. Meaningfulness over, it's not, I'm going to do everything for everybody, but the ones I'm going to do it with, I'm going to give it my all and give myself.
that's great.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm out of questions. Unless you have something else you want to say, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and providing some really eye-opening conversations about people who get stuck when they're at a certain point in their life and they've done something for 40 years and they need to keep going on and they don't know what to do. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, you're a great example of that. So for those listeners out there who've enjoyed this episode, please share it with your family and friends. And also any reviews on Apple Podcasts or the YouTube channel are appreciated. And remember to stay curious and to stay connected. Thank you so much, Russell.
Thank you, Gail.